So what I find interesting is you guys typically start off in the jail as opposed to immediately going on patrol. But because you had that experience in the military so young, maybe your experience is a little bit different, but how was that as 21-year-old working in the jail with these, people that are getting arrested, inmates? How was that for you?
It really wasn't that difficult for me. I can remember as clear as day. No matter where I worked, I'm going to have fun, and I have the ability to communicate because of where I brought up. I could communicate with the inmates, and you treat somebody decent like you'd like to be treated, they're going to do the same thing. Even bad guys, and if because they're locked up, and an example might be to explain this. I had, as a homicide investigator, I had a case. An inmate passed away. He ended up, he got beat up in the jail cell. His story was, I got beat up by a deputy, so they had to take him to the hospital for recovery. And he went to the hospital, and while he's in recovery, he ended up dying. And he died as a result of pneumonia and proximate cause of death. He had these injuries he sustained that were put on him by the deputy, which caused him to go to the hospital, caused him to get pneumonia. So the proximate cause of death is death at the hands of another. It wasn't a natural death. So I'm investigating it, and in talking to, we used to call them tanks, or rows of jail cells, and each one of these rows had what we called a tank trustee. He got number one cell, and that was like an unsworn assistant. He'd get there, and on cinnamon roll day, you'd give him some extra cinnamon rolls, and he made sure that everybody was in line. He took care of the tank, which made it much easier on me. So he was your assistant. Well, I went to talk to the tank from interviewing him, and he says, "Hey, Carrillo, it's simple." He said, had it been any one of the other deputies, as opposed to the one that he allegedly did this, he said, we'd be saying, yeah, we saw him do it. This guy didn't do shit to him. You go back and you look at his medical records, the guy had some kind of disease. He was always falling and hurting himself on his own. He says, nobody did. But had it been one of the other deputies in charge that day that treats us chicken shit, we'd have ratted him out. We'd have said it was him. So here, this deputy who treated inmates fairly and nicely, the inmates were willing to back him up.
Yeah.
And so when I was young and worked in jail, I learned that very quickly. Treat people the way you'd like to be treated, and it's not that bad. Plus, I knew the street vernacular, so I could talk to them, I could joke with them, I could do anything. So I didn't have a problem working the jails.
Did it help you working in the jails when you got on the street, though?
It all does. It just it teaches you, for those who, I guess for some, if you were brought up with a silver spoon, or had never been in a fight, never been in trouble, all of a sudden you're thrown out to the wolves in the streets, and it's going to lead to a problem. You don't know how to act. Some of these people are overbearing, and they think because I carry a badge, I'm big, I'm bad, and they'll stop. There's nothing more fearful. You pull a gun on somebody and tell them to stop, and they're looking right at you, telling you, go ahead and shoot. And they keep coming at you, and you got no reason to really shoot them. You say, stop or I'll shoot. And they keep coming. They don't stop. Well, does that give you the authority to go ahead and shoot them? No, it doesn't. But that kid that has never been up against the wall or never been in a problem, it's going to be problematic for him until he learns how to communicate with others, see what he's got to do. So it's a little more difficult. For me, it wasn't. I got a lot of people. Maybe I was nuts. I don't know.